guys, welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be reviewing the latest episode of Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 6, Sicut Cervus, I guess. It's a Latin word, and I actually looked up the meaning of this one. It means like a deer. I'm not exactly sure what that's all about, but it just doesn't seem to tie in with the episode so much. So I'm still trying to find out what the meaning behind that all is. It's like derivative from the Bible or something. Okay, so to be honest, utterly honest, this episode was really bad. It had probably more interesting scenes than from the previous episode, but that's still not saying much. So I'm going to change it up this time. I'm going to talk about the good stuff of this episode, then I'm going to talk about the crap. So if you like the show, after I'm done talking about the parts that were done not too horribly, you might want to end the video here and then there and then continue with something else. For the rest of you, just stick with the whole review. Okay, so really, the only things that were done well are I think the way they handled Chris in this episode was kind of interesting, having him the little freaky creep that everyone can hate now. Because at first it seemed like they wanted him to be a likable character and perhaps a good guy. And while all of us were just like, he's a wimp, we want to get rid of him. And, well, it seems like we're getting towards that get rid of him area because he's just become a psycho. Just full on. I can't really match him up with any other character I've seen. He's just not only a wimp, but he's a psycho. He's like the governor with the Eugene's abilities, I guess. So, other things that are done well, I guess, just getting this whole gotta get to Mexico thing over with. I do like how that just happened so that we don't have to have the whole time them on the boat saying, well, when are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? They did rush it, though. They should have slowed it down and all. But I do feel like that was something that needed to be done because the way that they were handling this whole situation was just badly done. Now they can move on to different story arcs, at least. And I think they established some new threats. That's kind of interesting. That's something done well-ish, even though the new threats aren't all that great, and the whole premises and all, it's just boring. I do think that it was done fairly well-ish, so that's pretty much all I have to say good about it. So now let's get into the bad part. You might want to end it here if you're a fan. So, we start out, we see the Church of Thomas's, I guess. That's Strain's boyfriend. And it's just some rickety little church, and they're eating these things, and immediately I was thinking, they wouldn't be showing, what?
Communion wafers.
Yeah, communion wafers. And they're showing the people eat it. I immediately thought they wouldn't show this unless the people are going to be poisoned. I just assumed that, the priest was poisoning them or something, but it's actually Celia, Thomas's mother. I'm not exactly sure why she is doing this. At this point, we just pretty much guessed that she's a nut, and there's something definitely wrong with her. But then again, she does seem normal at different parts, so I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to go with here. I guess she's just like some sort of self-righteous type person who believes that the Walking Dead are the same as humans, or better in some ways. I don't know, it's just, that's what they're going towards there. So, and then we see Travis talking with Chris, which basically is useless. You get to see how bad of a father Travis is. Chris just acting more like a wiener, and he's talking about how Madison said to him that it was a right thing to shoot Reed in the face. Well, she was trying to make him feel better at the time, but that wasn't the right thing to do. You don't just shoot someone out of nowhere. There was obviously something wrong, but he sort of escalates quite quickly in this episode to becoming a nut. It's like we start out and he's just like a wiener, and by the end he's Charles Manson or something, so I can't really dig that. It just seemed a little off. I do enjoy seeing him more hateable, because now I'm getting the feeling like they're going to kill him off. But then again, he is really annoying, so it's sort of one of those good news, bad news type situations. Okay, so Salazar's a jerk in this episode. They go down into the boat. I guess we should skip to that in a second. They go down into the boat because they're going to make this weird deal with some, I guess it's Mexican military that they're trying. So this whole time Luis has been making a big deal about they have to pay someone off, and when we finally get here to the people that they're going to pay off, where it seems like this is what's going to be the big problem for the episode or something, it's just like they blow over it real quick. They show the people who are hiding, and you just hear the noises, which it would have been more interesting if we saw what Strand and Louise were seeing, because it seems to me like the gun shooting situation that went up there would be a lot more interesting than people hiding down here. Like, he's saying this, now he's saying that. Boom, boom. I guess something happened. That was just, I guess they were trying to build up tension, make you think, oh, did Strand and Louise die? I mean, we'd figure that Strand didn't die, and I just figured immediately after I heard that Louise was probably shot, and they're probably really screwed now. But they weren't screwed, and Louise was shot. It was just very predictable, and they end up like taking off. It seemed like the guys who shot Louise just didn't care. I guess they took the 2 gold bars as payment and just left. That part there seemed extremely rushed, especially for this show. That sort of thing you'd figure they would take a whole episode or 2 just to deal out with, and especially since they have the mid-season finale coming up in just a couple of episodes, you'd figure they'd save some of this stuff for that. I guess they're moving towards different positions, whatever. After that, they just get to their land, and they walk up, run into some zombies, and they don't spend much time on the zombies. This show has a real problem with pacing. They show different parts that are boring. For like 20 minutes, you get to see people talking back and forth. Then you finally get to zombies and them having to fight zombies, and they're able to handle it quite easily, and then it takes like maybe 2 minutes at the most. I mean, this took 1 minute and 30 seconds of zombies. Literally, right here, I counted it. 1 minute and 30 seconds of them fighting zombies and it being over. And that's not counting the part where Salazar's choking a little kid zombie and he sees him choking some kid. That's like 5 seconds off of there. So they couldn't even give us a full minute 30 just showing them fighting zombies. Just big waste of time. Very bad pacing. They move on from that. And they end up getting to this new place that's there, I guess, Woodbury is what it seems like, because these are their new enemies from what I'm guessing. And it's just nothing. It's this farm area, big house, huge wall around it. And the wall around it pretty much tells us that they're not going to have many zombie problems. Just right out of the gate, you just see they're ending all of their problems with The Walking Dead. Especially a problem since we're called Fear the Walking Dead here. They do not fear the Walking Dead. We see them run into a group of walkers. They dispatch them real easily. I mean, Maddie did get knocked down, and then crazy Chris is standing right next to her and just standing there. He said that he was locked up and frozen, but from the look on the kid's face, he knew what he was doing. He was just like, I'm gonna see how this works out, and hopefully it works out with her dead. So, that right there, that's all the interesting part of the show, and then you just see these new bad guys. They're little women, some children. If this is going to be our new threat, then why are we not fearing The Walking Dead? I mean, kids and women are not as scary as living dead, so why couldn't we, whatever. Okay, so pretty much we just have problems with Chris while we're there. He threatens Alicia, and then we find out that Travis is a really bad father, and he's like, no, Chris wouldn't do that. I tell you what, I'll have him sleep in the same room as me tonight, so you'll have nothing to worry about. Gets up, goes into the other room, grabs a knife, he's hovering over them. Come on. How good of a father was he? He didn't even notice the dude sneaking out. He didn't have him close enough. He didn't really take any precautions here. I guess he just assumes that his wife is full of crap, which gives you the feeling that he has extreme trust issues with her now. I mean, come on. And then, when we see Strand meet up with Thomas, it's just awkward the whole time. I know that Strand is actually a homosexual in real life, but it still seems awkward, like he's not. It must be, like, not a really good chemistry between the two guys. And the whole episode, you see, like, 20 minutes of these two guys laying in bed together. It's just, ugh. It was so bad. This episode had like 40 minutes of boredom, maybe 3 minutes of interest. Really, just terrible. If I were a writer of this episode even, I would have done 100 times better, and I'm not a writer. I literally write in crayon most of the time. So, no, it's just terrible. Okay. Nick seems like he's a bit iffy this whole episode, like he's not sure if he's going to continue killing zombies almost. It's like he's moving towards that end of Tyrese's period, you know? He's just starting to regret all the killing, I think, and that's a bad development for his character because he was just starting to become less hateable because he's willing to kill walkers, whereas everyone else was having trouble with that. If they start pulling that on us, then there's no hope for his character. It's immediately down the toilet, even further. Yeah, okay. So, we see that Salazar, as soon as he gets there, he wanted to keep his weapons. Everyone else just handed their weapons over. He said, it seemed like he was going to be smart here. He was going to be the only smart one. He said, I'm going to hang on to my weapons like that. But they say, okay, you can carry your weapons with you, but you have to stay outside. Oh, okay, so he decides to give over his weapons. But then later we see him, we don't see him inside at all. We only see him outside. Why didn't he just keep his weapons if he's going to be hanging around outside so long? At least he could have the weapons with him, and then when he decides to go back in, he can hand them over, or just set them outside or something. It's stupid. And then we know in The Walking Dead, anytime people leave their weapons somewhere where they're not, that's because they're going to run into some trouble. And you'd figure these characters would be smart enough. They are pretty far into the apocalypse, at least a month, right? But no, they're not even smart enough to hang on to a knife. And Salazar didn't have to give over his gun. They couldn't see the gun. He could have just put his shirt over it, since it's tucked in his back belt. So come on. Ugh. There's just so many little aspects of this episode that annoyed me and were noteworthy, so that sorry if this review is a little long, because there's just so much to go over. I think that's pretty much it, though. I mean, we see all of this trouble, all of the crap, and it just boils down to Strand shoots his boyfriend. They end up in this place. We know Celia's a weirdo, and then we don't know what's going to happen with Chris after he was standing over his mother and Alicia, and the gunshot went off and they woke up. That was really creepy there and weird. It was like, ooh, I feel embarrassed for this guy. I'm not feeling so much fear over him killing anyone or anything. It's just, oh, that's embarrassing. Okay, so pretty much it. Yeah. If I were to rate this episode 1 out of 10, I would give it a 2.5 maybe. Most likely a 2 out of 10, because it's just bloody awful. So, I'll see you guys in the next review. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys then. Peace.